Okay, so we're gonna create a portfolio website. It's gonna end up looking a little bit like this. We're gonna be using Bootstrap mostly for doing all the layout and everything that you see here. This right here is a little bit custom, but I'll explain it to you how to do it. It's really simple. So yeah, let's start. I'll be explaining everything along the way. So just to kind of like help me not miss anything, I have like the actual code right here, and I'm just gonna redo it on my machine. So the only thing I have here is just the images that I'm going to be using. So I already have like the images right there, the files, so like all this. You can always just choose whether you want to put images or not. I think that's just like a nice little personal touch. But you don't have to at the beginning. You can always use something else as a placeholder, and then you can add them later if you want. So, alright, let's create a index.php. I do PHP just because in the end we're gonna be adding some PHP to it to create the user, and here's gonna be the user, and then all the way at the bottom we're gonna be using a contact form, and I want to be able to save the information, whatever they typed in, into a database. And once I logged in to my account, I want to be able to just go through all the different messages and whatever they provided in the contact form, just be able to see it and just keep it if anything. If they want to just email you, you can always just do it through here. So I have like a email link right here, and then I'm gonna create a contact form. That way we can do a user and just start going into the backend side of our portfolio website. So yeah, also we're gonna have like a interactive map, Google map. We're gonna use their API. It's really simple. You really don't have to even know that much about APIs or how everything works. So let's close this. You can see it's pretty cool just to have there. Let's see. We're gonna have like our portfolio section where you're gonna be putting the work you're doing for other people or for yourself. For example, like the YouTube channel, if you have any another blog part of your site, or another blog website entirely. Then we have like some placeholders here for more options later. And then we have a section for our skills. You can always add more later on, or just do a couple of the main core your core skills. I just chose a couple at random, mostly just PHP, Laravel. I love Vim, so I put that in there. CSS, just because that's the front side of the web. JavaScript is everywhere, so that's always good. Just kind of like web design and code. A little section about yourself, and I thought this is really cool. You can always just type in whatever you want and the options that you want here. And you know, just using keyframes, you can do this little effect right here. I think it's really cool to add that too. And then here, you know, like a little I think they call it a carousel. So you can just kind of like see some pictures with some text, kind of like a big call to action right off the bat. So yeah, and then your logo, if you have any, you can always just type in a name here. Your home, which is gonna prompt you to the same website for me, for example, or your blog, the about section, the skills, the portfolio, social, you know, like over here. This doesn't work right now, but we'll get to it later. So yeah. There is a little bit of work we need to do later, or I might do it like during this session that we're gonna be looking at it. Just kind of like to make sure that everything works fine. You know how this now the text hides when there's a certain the text hides whenever the screen becomes a little bit smaller. That's always good. That way it doesn't like block the rest of the image. This still fits right, but as it gets smaller, it doesn't quite fit there. So we're just gonna be seeing how everything works here. Oh, also the menu. So yeah, let's just begin. I'm gonna create this. Keep messing up. There we go. So if you remember from one of the videos before, we have this little template already created for us, and here you can just put whatever you want. So it can be that, or you know. There we go. I already have, for example, our style sheets right here. Another thing you need to do is make sure that this your regular style sheet is below Bootstrap. Just because it helps to override a couple of our it helps so that we can override a couple of things that Bootstrap offers, and we can just modify them to whatever we want them to be now. If you do that the other way around, where your regular custom style sheet is first, then your changes won't take effect. So that's the first thing. I'm using something else that's devicons, which are here, I'll show you. So you can just type it in and you can see how there's a lot of them. They're just icons, so you can use them. It's kind of like a font awesome, which I think we're gonna be using too. So what we do is just grab a CDN. It's gonna be this. Just copy it. And just paste it here. Let's see, what else do we have here? Alright, so yeah, here we have the font awesome. So yeah, I decided to use just CDNs just because they're a little bit easier to work with. You only have to drop the link and everything works from there. You don't have to download the files. You don't have to like set them on your own like folder on your machine. If there's an upgrade or an update on any of those sites and on the icons, for example, you don't have to re-download the new versions and then have to upload them again to your website. It all just works with the CDN. So let's continue. Let's see. So we're gonna be creating our navigation bar. We're gonna create a div class container fluid. There are, I believe, plugins so that your tags and your divs and all that gets auto completed, or it closes on its own, the tags. I think it's called Emmet, but I just do everything by hand. I don't know, I like it. So yeah, the container fluid is just gonna allow us to use Bootstrap. Oh yeah, so here's the CDNs, here's where you can download all this stuff. Let's see, where is it? The layout. Alright, so containers. So here's just gonna tell you what it does basically. If you just want a regular container, or if you want the fluid, which is gonna use the whole width like it says here. I think it depends, you know, you can use whichever one you want. I decided to do the fluid, but just see which one you like better. So now that we have our navigation bar ready, I'll explain in a second. Let's see what I forgot to mention, like all the way down here. So yeah, we're gonna need to do the same thing. We're gonna grab the CDN for the jQuery, the popper, which one else here, like Bootstrap. I think that's it. So yeah, we're gonna need those. So yeah, we can just copy them from here and just paste them. Actually, we don't need this one. This is just kind of like for the template. We're not going to use any custom JavaScript. Just so save it. Alright, so this is what we have so far. And another thing we're going to need to do is create our style Dot Css. So style Dot Css. And we're just gonna save it. Let's go here. Okay, so usually you can keep the styles, the CSS in a folder, but for now, since it's so it's gonna be like a small file, I don't really need it, so I'm just gonna like take it out. You can always, if you decide to do a folder, you can just leave it as it was. So just an option for friends mostly. Right now it's okay, we don't need all that all those folders. What we're gonna be looking at is just how this Navbar works. So basically we're gonna wrap it with a class of a nav, with a class of Navbar. We're gonna fix it top. It's gonna expand once it's large. It hits that large breakpoint, and then we're gonna have a dark navigation bar, and the background is also gonna be dark. So we're gonna see what that looks like. On this, it's gonna be just the brand. So if you want it to be just a picture or like some text, you can do it in here. I did like a image, although I might change it to some text later. It's gonna be image fluid. That's just a class for Bootstrap that makes it easier to handle big images, so that way like it expands and it shrinks accordingly. I'm just giving it the source, so it's gonna be under folder name images, and the name is gonna be logo. And I'm just giving it like a width and a height, and then just kind of like the name to logo. Then here we're gonna have the little toggle button, which is gonna be great for whenever the screen size becomes more of a tablet or a phone. It's gonna be Navbar toggler type button, data toggle. It's gonna be collapse. That way it collapses into it once it hits a certain like screen width. So yeah, pretty much all this stuff is gonna come in the documentation. So we go, where is it? Well, that's just how it's gonna look. Here on getting started, on I believe components, yeah, Navbar. You can see basically all the options that it has for you. So yeah, so this is like what I was saying. You can have just the words, a name or something instead of an image. Where is it? Here it is. Brand. There we go. So you would just have this instead of the image that I have. And then again, the light and background light, that's just another option you have. I did dark. You can change it. Let's see, what else do we have here? So that's the button. This is gonna be what's inside our navigation bar. Just telling it like this is gonna be the content that's gonna collapse into our little mobile navigation menu. It's gonna be it's gonna have the class of collapse, justify content end. It just means that I want it all the way to the end. And then I had given an ID so we can target it when we click it. So as you can see, we have it. Where do we have it? Oh, I don't think I put the hashtag there. Okay, so we see it here. There we go, the target. Here it has to be hashtag. That's how we target IDs. Oh. So we save it. That way we're targeting this every time we click it. And then it's gonna be the ID. Then we have our unorganized list. It's gonna be just navbar nav. And then we're gonna have our list items. And each one's gonna have a nav item class, and then this one's just gonna have the active one. And then here it's gonna have our links are gonna have a nav link class also. And then here on href, right now just have a placeholder just because I haven't put the URLs that need to be there, so you can just put, if you have a blog, just copy it and paste it in here without the hashtag. The same thing for like skills and everything. I'll show you how to target those within your page, which is basically the same thing. So we can actually see it right now. So we're gonna give an ID of whatever we want. Let's just call it the same about, and on that section, and then we're gonna just target it here. So I'll just show you in a second. So yeah, we're gonna do our list, and then here's another little drop down menu that we're gonna do. So he's gonna give it a class of drop down, and here it's gonna be the toggle again. Yeah, so here's gonna be the toggle, and then I'm just gonna call it user/admin, because we're gonna create that later. It's gonna be done with PHP, and then here we have the drop down menu, which is just gonna be log in and log out for now. Just placeholders again. We'll play with that a little bit later. So yeah, just put a class of drop down item on it, and that should be good. So if we go to our website now, we can see how it works, and here too. So log in, log out, you click it, the toggles between it. That's actually jQuery and the popper. That's basically what's making this function. So yeah, here I have the image. If you don't want the image, let me get back here. If you don't want that image, we can always change it, and we can see right here how to do it. So here I have a span, but we can always get rid of this. And then here we can just do the same thing. Class Navbar brand, and then just kind of like a href. I'm gonna do a placeholder there. Then here you can do your name, or the name of the website, my logo. Let's see if it works. There we go. Everything still works fine. So that's another way of doing it without the image, if you don't want to do that. Also here, fixed top is just something I like, just because when you start scrolling up and down, like here, it's gonna stay on top. You don't have to, you can always take it off and it'll just scroll up. But for now, I just like having it. Now here in the dark, that's just this background that's kind of like a dark grayish color, but you don't have to do the dark, kind of like I guess theme or navigation bar. You can always do a light one. Let's do the background dark, light. So you can see now, I don't know why it's not doing the little lines here. Let me see. Oh, okay. So the issue here is that I did not type this correctly, so you gotta be careful with that. Alright, so now you can see that it works. So let's continue here. Let me see. I think it's gonna be a little bit too messy. Okay, so yeah. So to recap, we have our container, which is fluid, so that way we can have it all across our website. Then we have our logo. It's very simple. You can always, like I said, just go to the documentation of Bootstrap, and it'll tell you everything that you need to know. Just go to like Navbar or Navs. It'll tell you right there. Then you have your button, which is going to be the toggle button. This one right here. All this stuff, you don't need to know like what everything does. You just need to know that you need all this information. That way you can like toggle between open and close, and between your browser website, between your browser width also, and that's all. You just make sure that when you do data target, it has the hashtag and it has the same name as your ID. That way it knows what to target. And after the button, we're gonna do a div container, basically, with the class of collapse, Navbar collapse, justify content end, which is just gonna push everything to the end of the page. That way your navigation is on the right side and your logo is on the left side. Then you have your unordered list, which is going to contain all your menu items, which in itself is going to have list items that have classes of navigation item, and then you have your links, which again is going to have a class of navigation link. And then on your href, just make sure that you put your URLs right there for wherever you want to go. Then we have another drop down menu right here, which is just going to have our login and log out. It's going to be this one. And if you just go to Bootstrap, it's going to tell you everything here. Let's see. So yeah, like right here, you have all this extra menus. So it's like nested menus, I guess you can call them. Then from there, we have another container. We have a div container, and then here's the login, logout. Just make sure that you close all your tags. And that's pretty much it for the navigation. Now I really like this because it's a carousel, which if you see it over here on the documentation, if I can find it right there, you can see how you can have several ways to display them. Like first slide, you can have multiple ones with the controls on the sides with indicators. So that's basically what I did. Then with captions, again, that's also what I did. Here it just tells you everything that you need to know. It makes life so much easier. Also, you can go more in depth and tell it how long it needs to take between switching, and a couple other things. So let's start it. Alright, so now what I did is just did another container. So every time you do rows and columns, you need to I like to do it inside a container. That way everything's layout the same. So it also again tells you right here on the layout. Actually, where is it? On the grid layout. So you have to have like a container, then you have your row, and then your columns. So that's basically what I do here. I have my container. Then I have here the carousel, which has an ID of carousel example indicators, which is just basically so you can have the indicators at the bottom. Then we have our organized list, which is going to be the actual buttons at the bottom. And then here you have we have 3, as you can see, and then I have 3 images. So just make sure if you add another image, add another indicator. And usually, you know, like it starts from 0, but then again, you can just read the documentation and see all that. We're gonna do another ID here, which is gonna be just the inner carousel. It's gonna have our items right here. So we do another div with a class of carousel item. This is gonna be the active one, and then we're gonna have our image. Now this is just gonna this is just part of Bootstrap. That way it knows how to like work with the image. Here we have our source, which is gonna be our images folder, and then here's the name of the image. Yeah, I didn't change this. I had like other placeholders before, but you can name it whatever you want. Here I have another div. Here you have another div with the class of the caption, and here inside you can have your title, your H1, and then just the paragraph that you want. This class right here is just so I can target this specific H1. That way I can change its size and its color, and this one also. So that's just me, that's not a Bootstrap. And then we're gonna do the same thing for all of the rest, which is just gonna be the same thing as the first one, just repeated. But obviously you just put different images there and different content. Make sure that you close everything. Then down here you have your controls, which are going to be the ones on the sides. This is the previous one, and it's just going to target the indicators, and it's going to be a row button span of the carousel controls. And then you have here another one that displays just what it is, just previous. The same thing here, but you're gonna do that for the next one. And that's pretty much it. That's all you do for the carousel. Now save it. Again, you can see everything right here under components. Then here's the carousel, and it tells you just basically how to do all this. You can just plug this into your own application, into your own portfolio, and just play with it until it works for you. But yeah, so let's do this. Alright, so now it works. We have our controls here on the side, and then we have them here, and everything works fine. So now we can move on to the next part. Now this is a little bit more custom, so this has nothing to do with Bootstrap, but I think it's a cool little effect that we can do with very little I guess code from CSS. I use specifically SASS, which is a CSS preprocessor, just because it helps automate a little bit more of what we're going to be doing here. So I just started with a container, again container fluid. Then I did another div here with the class row, then the columns, which I only did one, so I wanted to expand the whole thing, the whole width of our website. Then here is where I did my own custom classes. So flip, then I have another class of lead, which is going to be our paragraph, which you can just put whatever you want in here. Then I have another container, or like div container, which is going to have a class of tail. And then here I have paragraphs of just you can put, like, again, anything you want here. We're gonna save it. We're gonna see how it looks before we actually customize it. So there we go. So that's not exactly what we want, right? So what we're gonna want is to go these are styles, yeah, I guess. Oh, we're gonna open another tab. I already have it open, and then we're gonna create a vim styles dot SCSS, which is what we use for SASS. And then here, what we're gonna type in is this. Alright, so we haven't really looked too much at our CSS, but I basically am using I'm using SASS, but the only part I use SASS for is gonna be just this little bit of styles, and then after that it's just regular CSS. But it's good to have it set up that way, you know, like if you wanna start customizing it a little bit more in depth, you already have all the foundation set and ready to go. So all you have to do is just go in and start like doing your SASS mixins and your SASS variables and customizing it however you want. So let's go to SASS, the SASS website. Awesome. So here it's gonna tell you like how to install it, how to do everything. So for example, we're on Linux, and it tells you, let me just see what else is down here. Okay, it tells you can use gems to install it. So you're gonna need Ruby, which I'm assuming you guys don't have, but if you go to Ruby, usually the first one, and it tells you how to do it here. Let's see. Let's go down here. All right, so no, yeah, don't do this. Alright, so here, don't use this way of installing Ruby. Just go over here to compiling Ruby source code, and then over here you see the installation page for details. Click it, and then here go to your distribution of Linux, and then up here it says sudo apt-get install Ruby full. That's all we need. So I think I already have it here, so I don't think I'll be needing it, but just for example, you type it in, you put in your password. There we go, it's already installed. Now after that, it's gonna tell you, does it tell you here? No, it's gonna tell you back on the SASS website. Actually on the Ruby one too. Just so you can check the versions of it. Oh, I don't think it tells you there, but you can just go Ruby-V, and it tells you which version you have. That's pretty much it. I think on gems, that one does tell you. It does tell you over here. So Oh no, it tells you SASS. Gems-b, I think. No. Gem-b. There we go. So that way you can, I haven't used Ruby, so I keep forgetting, but there we go. So we have already like our gems right there, which is kind of like a package manager. It's all the same. It's like npm. It's gems. It's what's the other one? Composer for PHP. Just a nice way to kind of like pull in packages and libraries. So now we can just do gem install SASS like it says. I think I already have it installed here. Sudo gem install SASS. Alright, so that should be good. Now you can do SASS-v. You can see which one you have. And now let me see, where was it? Okay, so this is all you need to know right here. So now, let's see, where am I? Now we go back into our folder. Oh, it's gonna be practice. Sorry, I have like a lot of folders now here. I've just been playing around. So yeah, let's go back here. Let's save it. Now we should have it here. So all you have to do is SASS -- watch. Then the input is we wanted to watch our SASS file, which is gonna be styles.scss. Then colon, and then we're gonna tell it where we wanted to dump our styles. It's gonna be styles.css. So really simple, and that's it. So now when we type in anything here, it's gonna output all the CSS into our regular CSS file. But it just helps. It has a lot of cool features here. Yeah, it's definitely a good read. Where is it? Learn SASS. Oh, here it tells you again here how to do it. If you have folders, if not, just with files, variables, nesting, partials. That's always cool. Importing other files. I mean, this is a great resource. We'll probably take a closer look at this later, just on a dedicated video about it, because there's a lot. So now you also have Ruby already installed, which means you can install Ruby on Rails. Which is a really cool framework too. So, well, I won't get distracted anymore, but let's go back. So again, we don't have anything styled here. What we're gonna do is copy all this and put it here, and then we're gonna I'm gonna explain what it does. Alright, so once we have this done, what we're telling it, we're storing our elements. We have 8 elements right here, and we're gonna save them into this variable, and then we're gonna have the duration to be 3 seconds. So we are setting those variables all the way on top. On our flip, which is gonna be let's gonna be the main container. We're gonna tell it to align center and have a margin of 4%. Then our lead, which is gonna be let's see, the actual first part of the paragraph. We're just telling it to, actually let me make this bigger. On the lead, we're just telling it the font size to be a little bit bigger. You can always change this to whatever you need. And then I'm just targeting the lead and the tail again, which is gonna be it's gonna be the actual paragraphs, the actual it's gonna be the actual end of the paragraph that we're targeting right there. So I just want to display it inline block, padding a little bit, 1% to the left, vertical align top, and then the font size also the same size as the first one. Here on tail, we're targeting the actual p tags, which is going to be the end of our sentence. We want the position to be absolute, so that way it only displays one at a time. It doesn't do this weird thing over here where it just displays all of them. And then here on animation, we're using the flip animation, which is down here. And what we're doing is just multiplying our number of elements times the duration, and we're telling it to be an infinite loop, and we want it to be eased, which is just how you see it, how it just comes up easing into it, I guess. So here it's a for loop. It's gonna be for index. This is another variable. For index from 1 through elements, which is gonna be the number of elements that we have up here. That way we don't have to like hard code anything, or as little as possible. Now there's a lot of ways you can do this, but I had fun playing with this with a person from IRC chat. I don't know if you've ever been on IRC, but it's Internet Relay Chat. It's pretty cool, and a person from here is the one that I actually got this idea from. If you don't know what IRC is, definitely take a look at it. I can give you I can tell you later how to set it up like this. This is IRC. This is IRSSI. It's just a way to connect to IRC through the terminal. I think it's just better since I'm always there. So yeah, I mean, you can join channels. I'm on CSS right now. You can go into JavaScript or any other programming language that you need, or any other channels actually, not just programming. But yeah, so that's where I got it from. Many different ways to do this, but we're just telling it to target the paragraphs, which are going to be where we have all our different end of sentence paragraphs right here, like this. And we're targeting them here, and we're just telling it to have an animation delay, and here it's just doing the math for us. So here it's just telling us that whichever number we're at, just take 1 from it and then times it by the duration, which right now is 3 seconds. It's a little bit of math, but we'll see how it ends up looking in a second. Then here on the keyframes, that's what makes it do all this going up and fading in and out. Since we already have the watch flag here, we don't need to do anything. It's like looking at it for us. Alright, so what we can do is just open up another terminal. We're gonna go into styles.css, and here we can actually see what's going on. So flip is the same thing, lead the same, tail. Here we're telling it on the actual p tags where we have all our floating text. It's gonna be position absolute, the same as we did. The animation is gonna be flip. It's gonna have a duration of 24 seconds, which again you can see this, yeah. So you can see here, this is what we're doing. So elements times duration, which the number of elements, it's gonna be 8, and then duration we did what, 3 seconds. So as you can see, yeah, so 8 times 3, that's gonna be where is it, right here, 24 seconds. Infinite, same thing. Now the for loop that we did, it's easier just to show you, yeah, than trying to explain it. So here we're doing the loop that's gonna do this right here. So the animation delay is gonna be 0 seconds, -3 seconds, -6 seconds, -9 seconds, -12, -15, -18, and so on for all 8 of for all of our paragraph children. So it just does that for us automatically. It does the math for us. Here on the keyframes, just telling us the same thing. So everything happens between this 6.25% and the 12.5% of the cycle on the keyframes. That's not it, it's right here. So here it's 100% divided by the elements, which is 8, and then 8 divided by, well, the product of this is gonna be divided by 2, which gives us basically 6.25, and then 100% divided by the elements, which is 8 elements. That gives us 12.5%. So yeah, it might be a little bit complicated, but for, I guess, starting out with CSS, but it's really easy. Just search keyframes. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with those. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the end result. It's really powerful once you start like using it, just because it keeps your code really nice and tidy, and you don't have to do all this. So for example, if we switch this elements are the same, but let's say the duration, I want to change it to maybe 1 second, and we save it. You see how it's going right now? Like it takes like a little bit for it to change. Now you can see how fast it's going. And here we didn't change anything here. We only changed it up here on the variable. Now we go here. We're gonna be able to we go in again. We're gonna see how it changes here too. Now it's 8 seconds, and here all this paragraph children have been updated too. So it does all of this for you, so you don't have to like go in, go like, okay, so I want it to be only the duration of it, I want it to be maybe like this many seconds, and then I have to do all the math on how many seconds each child has to be. And then here, you know, like on the elements, this changes once you change the amount of elements that you have. So if you add more, you have to do this manually too. It's just a hassle. So it's pretty cool to have SASS do that for you. So yeah, that's pretty much it here. Let's go to the next one. Alright, so here what I have is again, container. I have a row. I align the item center, which is gonna, let me save this. Well, here you can't really see it that much, but if we make it a little bit bigger, you can see how the text is in the center and not up here or like down here. That's what it does. It's just a helper. That way you don't have to like target this exact paragraph and then just tell it to move to the middle of the container. It's just easier. Something that Bootstrap offers right off the bat. Then again, our column just for the image. Here's the path to the image, and then here's just a description of it. And then here again, another column. We're gonna have our title, a little bit about me, and then the paragraph, and then just whatever you wanna put there, describe yourself as. Then just make sure to close everything up, and that should be good for that part. So yeah, so now we have our navigation bar. We have this set up for later when we want to connect it to a database and we create a user for ourselves. The logo, if you want one, or you can just put the name of the website. Your carousel. We have a nice little extra, like extra here, you know. I think it's just really cool to have that there. And then you have your about section. Works really good. If you want to do this, I used Photoshop, and what I did is I just crop myself here, and then what I did is just take out the background, and then you can just export it as PNG, and that's it. It's very simple. Let's continue. So now the next thing that we're gonna do is our skills section, which is gonna be again containers, and then we're gonna have rows for each one of them, and then from there we're just gonna like style it a little bit ourselves. So let's do this. So here we start off with a container, and it's gonna be a container fluid again, like all the other ones. If you decide to go with just container, I would say, unless it's kind of like a choice on design, use all of the containers the same. If you're using fluid, use all of them fluid. If not, just use one. And then here I just added an extra class just to target this whole container, just because of what I'm going to do later. I'll show you on the CSS. Here I just did an h2 tag with a class of skills, again to target the skills text. Here is a row, and again I did the I think this is just because I was practicing, and I think this is just because I was trying something out, but I don't think you need this right here. You can just put the class as row. You don't need this. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm just gonna take it off. Then a column of 4 for the medium size screen. Then we're gonna do a span, which is gonna have a class of FA, then FA code, and then I'm gonna do FA-7x, which I'm gonna show you what it does. Oh, I need to save it, I guess. There we go. So as you can see here, this is the span, which is gonna be the code, FA code span, and then the FA7 just means the size of it. The same thing with CSS. Now here I have an h3 with the class of skill header, which is just gonna target this right here, and then I have a paragraph tag with skill paragraph, just gonna target this also. And then here, let's see. Alright. There we go. Just had too many spaces. You can see it now. Okay, good. So now you can see it. They're kind of small, but we're gonna target them. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so pretty much every single section here is gonna be the same. So we have a column of medium and a column medium 4, and then we have a span. Here you can actually see the FA ones are gonna be font awesome, and then the Devicons are gonna be from Devicon. These are the other ones, so they both use a span with a class of what they require. Like right here, it tells you what you can do for each one. So Apple, if you want it colored or not, if you want this certain way, just click it and it tells you what to put there. Devcon, like all this. Atom, where's Babel, colored. So it has a couple versions of it. So that's what we do here. That's what we add. And then here is just a header, which is gonna be like this part right here. And then we have a paragraph, which is gonna be just a description of the tool or the language that you're describing here. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this. Now what we need to do is style it. So I think it's right here, yeah. Okay, so we haven't really done much. This is the carousel heading. This is gonna be the carousel paragraph. This is the backpack class that I did on that other what was it, the container class. And then here's the skills. So let's do the first one. Alright, so what I did here is just so we can see it a little bit better. I targeted the carousel heading and I want it to be a little bit bigger. So I did 7 EMs. And then I have a text shadow. Now text shadow, it's a pretty cool thing that you can add to your text. We're adding a horizontal shadow, and here we're adding a vertical shadow, and then here we just telling it what color we want it. If we added another like 0 here or something, or like a 2 pixels here, that third item would be the blur on the shadow. So you can do a lot of customization here, but basically what I want is just to showcase this bigger and with an outline of a black outline basically surrounding it, so you can kind of like see it a little bit better. There we go. Alright, so here we can see that we have a little background grayish color, but it's very light. You cannot really like tell. That's this backpack. That's the color. Just a little padding on top. Next thing is gonna be the skills. Alright, so now what we did is on the skills text, we want it to be aligned center. We want a padding around it and a margin, and then we want the font size to be a little bit bigger. And then on the skills header, which is gonna be, let's see, it's gonna be like our H3 tags. It's gonna be padding also, and on the paragraph padding too. The thing is that I'm targeting them right now, so that way if I want to do anything later to change it, I already have them here and I can just add more styles to it, more rules to it. So just good to have for now as a starting point. You can always do paddings with Bootstrap too. I think I do it a little bit later. You'll see how to do it there. But this is good, so you can target it, and then after that you can keep modifying it to whatever you want. So on the skill paragraph, also padding, then I target the icons, the CSS icon, because right now it's it's just black and white. I want it to be color orange or tomato. That's kind of like its color. You can always go and see what actual hex color it uses, and you can just put it there. This is just something to show that you can always type in something else here, like tomato for it. The Vim icon, it's super small, so I'm just gonna give it a font size of 7 EMs, which is kind of like the same thing we did for this one, which we did the FA. Where is it? The FA 7, which basically brings it to the same font size. So that's also how you target the div icons. You use by the name, the class of it, and then use change the font size. Same thing for the JavaScript, the PHP, and the Laravel one. So now we can see that they are all pretty much the same size. Let's see, what else do we have here? So now we come down to the map. This is very simple too. All you have to do is use a little div, which we're gonna see right here. Oh, already passed it. So this is it. So we're just gonna do a div with an ID of map. And that's pretty much it for our HTML. So you see that it doesn't do anything right now, but we're gonna do a couple things to it. So you can just copy this, which is what's making the whole map show your coordinates. Here you can see that I still kept the actual comments from the original one, and it tells you what it's doing. Using the drop animation, clicking on the marker on the marker will toggle the animation between a bounds animation and no animation. So here's the marker, here's the function. It's gonna run it. It's gonna do get element by ID, which is gonna be the map one, which is what we did here. And then here we're telling it what kind of zoom we want on it, so you can do more or less. I think what I have is good. You can always change this. On the center is going to be our coordinates, so you can always just type it into Google the coordinates for the city you're maybe at. This is for Boston, and here's the marker. It's gonna say for the map, draggable, animation, position is the same position that you're gonna put for your city, or if you have a business or a specific place, you can always do that too. Find it and just plug it in here. Here's another function. And then right here we're gonna add this, which is gonna be the Google Maps API. And then here where it says on key, your API key, you're gonna paste your API key right here. And yeah, that's it. That's all you're gonna need to do. So let's do that right here. Okay, so we don't have much because we need to edit our CSS file. Here we can see that it's gonna be we're gonna be targeting the map ID. It's gonna be map. I'll give it a height. You can change the height however much you want. So, and the width, I'm gonna do 100%. I just wanna have it pretty much go the entire length. I'm gonna save it. There we go. This is because we haven't given it the API key, but I'll show you how to get it. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna do Google Maps API. Alright, so you're gonna see this right here. Let's see. I think you can just close that. I think we can just go to get started. Here we go to Google Maps JavaScript API. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Here you can see, you know, like how you can do it. So basically, you just do your div with the ID of map. Then here is just gonna tell you what we did. This is just like a simple map. And then here you have your other script, which is gonna have your API key right here. Let me see if I can find the one. Okay, so guide. I haven't been here in a bit, so I'm trying to remember. I want to say it's adding a map with a marker. Let's see. So yeah, it's just telling you how you can do that here. Again, this is what we already have. Your API key, that's what we need. So yeah, it's just telling you regular zoom, 4, center, the marker where it has to be. It tells you also the usage limits because there's some that you need to pay, but I mean the free one should be good enough for our usage. You can see here usage limits. It says free until exceeding 25,000 map loads per 24 hours. So that's I don't think anybody's gonna load that many maps during 24 hours, especially at the beginning. But you can see that after that it has a billing of 50 cents per 1,000 additional requests, and up to 100,000 per 24 hours. So this is more than what we need. So it's good to know the other options that you have here. From there you can just click on Get API Key. Also, you have it on top. Here you can read a little bit about it. It tells you how to do it. Again, it's very simple. You don't even need to know much about it more than you need to request an API key here. You click on Get Key. Yes. And then here you can just do whatever name you want. Like my site. Click next. This might take like a few seconds, but it's gonna create an API key that we're gonna copy and paste it into our site, and that way we can see the map working. so we have it right here. I'll copy it. Just make sure we go over here. So here it starts after the equal. I'm just gonna delete this, and you go all the way to the end. And here I'm just gonna paste it. Alright, so yeah, that's it. That's where it starts. Got it. Oh, also, you can see there that it tells you where you can see that API key in your console. So that's how you can go and search for it again if you forget it, or if you're switching or something happened. You then save, I believe, let me see. I think you can even just type the whole thing. Google Maps API console. Here it is, actually. So yeah, there we go. So I mean, it's very easy to go back and find it. Just remember the name, which is gonna be where you get the key. It's gonna be the API console. And then once it gives you there, you can see here it's my site. So yeah, once you just click on Google API console, just hit API console right here, and then you can just go to credentials. And here's the API key. It tells you when you created it and the actual key. It's not entirely bad if someone sees this, but I wouldn't, for example, keep it in version control or post it on GitHub or anything, because the thing is that if people use it and use your own API key, that means if they get traffic on their site, it's going to go into your account. So if somehow, because a couple people or like a lot of people get a hold of this and keep using it, what that means is that you're going to hit that free limit really fast, and then you're going to have to pay to display the map. But aside from that, it's nothing that bad. If people want to see it, they'll be able to see it. So I mean, yeah, you can just like inspect the website and see what they have on their script tags and everything. But it's just good to not have it just out there for everybody to see. I'm gonna delete this one actually whenever I'm done with the tutorial. But yeah, so now that we have that set up, let's see. Oh, what happened? Let's save it. Okay, there we go. So now it works. We have a map. Click it, bounces. Again, it's very simple. The zoom, we can do more if you want. It depends on you and your preference. It's taking a little bit to load. So yeah, that's quite a bit of. Let's change this to 16. Alright, so you can see it's a little bit more zoomed in. But I do like how it was before. You can kind of like know that it was Boston. There we go. So let's move on to the next part. Alright, so the next thing we did here is going to be another container. I did the backpack class too. That way we can have that really light shadow, like light grayish color in the background. Here's a h1 tag, which I just put a class of contact, install the portfolio text, and then I have a class of row, and then I have all my columns. So I'm gonna do 4. I'll column medium 4. That way I can do 3 different sections per row, and then if I have more, they're just gonna like cascade down to the next line, the next row. And then here the P3, that's actually for padding, and that just it's over here on your Bootstrap. I'm not too sure where this is. Utilities, probably. Okay, yeah, I think it's right here. So you can see all this border colors and everything. So the radius, and then you have more right here. Let's see, spacing. Yeah, it's right here. So you can see px2. You can see here what it is. It tells you can do like a P for padding, M for margin. Then you have T for margin top or padding top, and B for bottom, left, right, for both. And then here's what you want, the default, 2, 3, and that's it. It tells you right here how to do it. So all you have to do, for example, on the one that I did, is just padding of 3 to give it a nice little padding. And then I have the card container right here, which is going to be a class of card. I did text white and background denture, which text white just means the text that I'm going to have inside of it is going to be white, and the background is going to be color denture, which is going to be red. So let's see. Do I have it saved? No. So one more time. There we go. So the text is going to be white, the background is going to be red. Then I have the card header, which is going to be this one right here. And then I have the card body. It's going to be this little section right here. Then we have another title inside of the body, which is a h5 tag. Just like the same one right here. And then the card text is going to be a paragraph tag. And then here's just some text that we put in there. And then we're going to have a link, which is going to go to the actual project or website once you do it. And we're going to have a class of button primary, which is going to be the blue, and then we're going to have the text go somewhere. So once they click it, they're going to go towards that project. And I did 2 because that's what I have on mine. I have YouTube tutorials, then learn more, and then I just have the placeholders right here, so you can see how it's looking pretty much the same, except the navigation bar, which I might change mine because I don't like that much either. So yeah. On mine, I think I have something else. Yeah, I have like a contact form coming soon. I don't put that on this one, but we can do it real quick. So yeah, each one is gonna be the same. We're gonna do again a container of with a div tag. That way we have that container right there. It's gonna be a column of 4, a column medium 4. And it's gonna have the same padding of 3. Then we're gonna have a card header, card body, card title, and then card text. Then we're gonna have our button, which is gonna be just a link. And then we're gonna do that for as many as we want. I did 6. You can always just start filling it up as you go, or just have some placeholders. And here, I'm gonna do a div of container fluid. I'm gonna close it, and then we're gonna do another div with a class of row. We're gonna close it. Again, if you don't want to do this, there's plugins that basically close your tags once you're done opening them. I like to do it on my own, so I know it's maybe more hassle, but that's just what I like to do. Then another div with now a class of column. So we're gonna do a column large 12. Again, we're gonna make sure that we close it. And then here we're gonna have probably like an H1. It's gonna say contact form coming soon. And then close it. Let's save it. Yep, it's right there. Let's see, what else do we have here? We're almost done. So we have a footer. Oh, we just have to do the footer. So let's do that and we'll continue. Okay, yeah, there we go. So I created a footer with a class of footer, background dark. Then I did another class container fluid row. Then I did a 3 column by doing column medium 4, text white, and then here I have a H1. So you can just put here whatever you want. A paragraph with the copy symbol. That's how you do it. This is basically what translates into let's do this. Into this little C right here for the copyright. And then here's a 2018, and then you can do this by and then your name. And then here we have another column, and then this column we're gonna have also text white, and we have the H2 with a class of contact chat, which is just my own class that I'm gonna use to style this. You know, it says, you know, want to chat, get in touch. And here's this social media, another class with links to them, which is gonna be these little icons right here. So we're gonna do a tag with a href to whatever site, for example Instagram. You're gonna put your Instagram link right here. We're gonna have an I tag with, I did some inline styles just because it's a little bit easier, and I'm just gonna keep them like that for the foreseeable future. So I'm gonna keep them like that for a while. So just did the color to be white, and the class is gonna be FAB, FA Instagram, FALG, which is gonna be again, you can just do font awesome, and here you just like how to use. It just tells you to do the class and then the name of the icon. Then here you can color it, tomato, camera, retro. Tells you what it is, solid, regular, light, brands. There's some that you just need to pay for, but there's a lot that are free. Again, it's really cool to use. And then here's the FA 10 times, so 10 times as large. You can use all these ones right here. For the menu, for the navigation bar, you can always use these little icons right here if you want. So there's a lot of stuff you can use. Animated icons too. So that's what I did here. I used Twitter, LinkedIn, GitHub, Chrome, YouTube, Facebook, all the same links. You can see them right here. And then here I did the last column, which is going to be just the contact info. It just says contact me, and then the email. Which for the email you can just do an a tag with the href to be mail to : and then your email, and then you just close it. That's how you can, once they click it, it's just gonna prompt you to it's gonna open whatever mail client that you have, and it's gonna have the contact information already set there, so you can just send an email real quick to it. And that's pretty much it. So what we need to do is just style it a little bit more so it looks a little better, and we're gonna do that right now. Alright, so what I did here is just did a little bit of aligning, padding, and here, let me show you. Alright, so I aligned everything center on all individual columns. I did a little bit of padding just so it doesn't look too close together. I did the same thing here for the email. That way it's just kind of like has an outline. It's really cool. On the hover, I don't want any decoration, so when I hover, I don't want that underline. I did the different color. Again, align everything, some padding, and aligning. So I just kind of like target everything individually and just make sure that everything's correct here. So that's pretty much it. For this one, we can always do the same. It's just I did this, I think, on my server, and I didn't do it, or on my other computer, and I just pushed to production, but I haven't like really pushed to GitHub with the changes that I did. But let's see, I think it is what is this here? H1. So yeah, so you can always just target it by doing a class contact, and then you can do form, save it, go to the next one, contact, and form. And here we can do the same thing, text align, center, some padding would be good. Let's do 2%. And let's just do something else here, like text shadow. Then we can do here like 2 pixels, 2 pixels. Then we want a blur of 1 pixel. And we want it to be black. We're gonna save it. Let's actually do another color. What's good? Let's do gray. Doesn't look that like it's that much. Let's do 4, and 2. There we go. So it looks a little bit better. So you can see what it's doing. The 4 pixels is going to be 4 pixels horizontal. And then it's going to be 4 pixels vertical down. And then it's going to go, because it's a positive number. And then 2 pixels of blur. So it's not just another outline, straight outline. So there we go. That looks really cool, in my opinion, I guess. That looks really good. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You have your logo, your menu bar. We're gonna do that later. Your blog, if you have one. Your about, skills, portfolio, social. Oh, here. Let's do one of those. So we do skills, we can just do skills, and then what we're going to do is go back down to where our skills is, right here. Let's see, we can do it on our H2 tag. We can just do ID, set it to skills, close it, save it. So there we go. You can see that it has an ID of skills. We go all the way to the top. Go down a little bit more. And now over here you can see that you're calling on it on skills. We're gonna save. Now we refresh this with skills, and it jumps down to skills. So that's all you need to do. Over here on the href, if you're gonna put a blog, put the URL. On the about, you can just go back down to where your container is, or your row is, and then just add an ID of whatever you want to call it, and just put it here. So we call on an ID with a hashtag, just like this one, and that's how you'll be able to jump around between them. So yeah, we did a whole navigation bar, in and out. It's all mobile friendly, so we can close it a little bit more. You can see it. Everything works. You can still toggle between our carousel images. It's really cool. A nice, I guess, also extra here. Our about, our skills, a little map to show just either the company, the city, or just anywhere that you want to showcase your portfolio. Contact form, we're going to do that soon. That way it's linked to a database, and then we can like browse through the messages that they leave us. And then here's just like our information, contact, email, a little quote, Instagram, your GitHub, your Facebook, anything you would like here. And yeah, that's a simple way to create a portfolio. Obviously there's a lot of work that we can do here, and we really didn't do much on the fonts, so on anything in particular, like in details. So yeah, we didn't really do much on our CSS for our own styles, but I think we did good for now, and we can just continue later. I'll show you how to deploy this website to DigitalOcean, and how to set your I don't have it here either, but I will do it soon. The Let's Encrypt, which is how you can get an SSL certificate for free, and how to set it up so that it auto renews, so you don't have to like do it all the time. That's the little lock icon, the HTTPS, and yeah, just have to route all your traffic to HTTPS instead of just regular HTTP on your Nginx server block. It'll be fun. And then from there we can continue on to Laravel.